The Sunni leader and former Prime Minister of Lebanon, Rafiq Hariri, was assassinated in a highly complex, extremely advanced technologically, highly skilled terrorist operation which incinerated him and his armored car and many of the people with him just by the St. George Hotel on the Corniche in Beirut. We were told with absolute certainty that those responsible for this great crime were the government of Syria. A huge well of opposition to Syria in Lebanon was unleashed. Syria was forced to withdraw from its role in the country and was blamed and maligned and threatened by this so-called tribunal with all sorts of dire consequences. Named individuals in the Syrian government were named as having been responsible and guilty of this crime. The arrest of some of those individuals was demanded. Witnesses came forward and anonymously but officially gave testimony implicating named individuals in the Syrian regime as having been responsible for this crime. There was no doubt about it. There was no grey area. Syria was guilty and utterly guilty of this crime. And then, overnight, all that they said about Syria was dropped. Suddenly, Syria was not guilty, was not responsible of this crime. The Syrian officials who had been impugned and maligned were exonerated and declared absolutely innocent of this crime. Now we are told this crime was committed by the Lebanese resistance. And we're told it with the same certainty by the same people who told us so certainly that Syria had been responsible for this. And we're supposed to believe it. Now, the magnitude of this allegation may not be entirely grasped by all of you. As someone very closely connected to Lebanon for 35 years myself, I'm all too aware of its magnitude. The schism between Sunni and Shia in Islam is very deep, very historic, and very, very combustible. If you allege that the Shiites murdered the leader of the Sunni in Lebanon, you are setting in motion a train that will run for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years, it will be legend that the Shiite resistance movement murdered the Sunni leader. It will be, for those who know about these things, another cloak of Uthman. It will be something that will be the basis for a blood feud and vendetta forever. And that is why Hezbollah cannot accept this indictment. I believe, and I don't know anybody who is objective in this matter who does not believe, that Hezbollah are absolutely innocent of this crime, and that it's time the tribunal looked to the people who benefited from this crime, the south of the border in Israel. And then a law student here knows the first thing you do when confronted with a crime is ask the question, cui bono? Who benefited? Did Syria benefit from the killing of the Sunni leader in Lebanon? Syria lost everything. Did Hezbollah benefit? Would Hezbollah benefit from destroying forever the respect and admiration that the Sunni Muslim population, not just in Lebanon, but throughout the Arab and Muslim world, had towards them? No, they would lose everything. But Israel gained everything from this crime. They deepened the schism between Sunni and Shia in Lebanon. They deepened the schism between Sunni and Shia throughout the Muslim world. They plunged Lebanon into absolute chaos and may do so again in the next few days and months. So, the leader of the Lebanese resistance, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, gave a speech 3 weeks ago, in which he said, any hand that comes to arrest any member of the resistance, we will cut that hand off. This is a very serious moment. If this tribunal issues this indictment and anyone seeks to implement it, there will be war in Lebanon, and there will be war almost certainly between Israel and Lebanon. And all of us will be dragged into it one way or another. And Canada cannot escape that, because the head of the tribunal is Canadian. The so-called investigators who are bringing this indictment, the majority of them are Canadian. And of all the television stations in the world, the one that was chosen to give the leaked and highly distorted version of events last week was CTV in Canada. CBC, sorry, in Canada. This is no joke. Anybody who knows Lebanon knows what wars in Lebanon can be like. And anybody who knows what the wars in Lebanon can be like knows the combustibility and incendiary possibilities that then will exist across the borders of other Arab countries and between Sunni and Shia Muslims in the world. So I hope, even at this very late hour, that the tribunal will not do this. But if they do, then the situation will be very serious. Now, I'm told that there were a lot of people in Edmonton that donated time and money to Viva Palestina 5. That was our last convoy, which went to Gaza. Can I say a few words about that? Our last convoy, well, it's not our last, our latest convoy, which entered Gaza just a few weeks ago, Viva Palestina 5, was our biggest convoy. It involved people from 31, 32 countries around the world. From the Arab world, for the first time, we had a major contingent. We even had 5 girls driving a huge truck. 2 of them were Saudi girls who were not allowed to drive cars in their own country. They drove a truck all the way to Gaza. 2 Kuwaiti girls, 1 Omani girl. We had huge contingent from Algeria. We had people from Morocco, people from Tunisia, people from Jordan, and from Lebanon. We had people from New Zealand. Can you believe? You couldn't get really further away from New Zealand to Gaza. They raised the money for 3 or 4 trucks and sent a group of heroes who traveled all that distance. These convoys are important. They're important because of the material aid that they bring. Of course, they're a drop in the sea of troubles that are faced by the people in Gaza. But, as it says in the Bible and the Quran, to save the life of one person is as if to save the life of all humanity. And that's what we have tried to do. But the convoys just vital for the small number of people that they can assist materially. What they do is remind the world that this siege continues. That after the massacre on the 31st of May in international waters of the Turkish aid ship Mavi Marmara, on board which there were some Canadian citizens, just imagine if Iran had boarded in international waters an aid ship of unarmed volunteers and killed 9 of them, wounded scores of them, kidnapped hundreds of them, taken them to the desert in chains, and then robbed them of all their possessions. Can you imagine if Iran had done such a thing? You'd all be wearing tin hats right now because we'd be at war with Iran if it had done any such thing. But Israel did it with impunity. After it, Israel announced that it was relaxing the siege of Gaza. But that is a total lie. The situation in Gaza is virtually exactly the same today at the end of November as it was at the end of May. So these convoys show the world that the siege still exists and that some people in the world will not be complicit by walking past on the other side of the road from this crime. But it does something else. It shows every time we go and every time we're stopped and delayed and harassed, the role that some of these Arab regimes are also playing in this siege of Gaza. And that's important too. So, go to vivapalestina.org and see what you can do to get involved. Support the local initiatives of the movement here in Canada. One of which has been to bring me on this long and quite arduous speaking tour that started out as a speaking tour of 5 cities, has ended of a speaking tour of 12, speaking to thousands of people from coast to coast to coast, such that I almost am out of voice now and I have 2 speeches still to give before I can go home. So thank you for your support.